All right, so today we are diving into the fascinating, often intimidating world of investment banking.
We're going deep.
We are going deep, and thankfully, we've got this investment banking AZ guide to help us decode the jargon and really understand what goes on behind those closed doors.
It's a world that feels a million miles away for most people, but it really impacts all of us.
It really does. I mean, whether it's a massive merger making headlines or your retirement savings, investment banks are often the ones calling the shots.
They're the puppet masters, you could say.
Okay, puppet masters. I like that. And this investment banking AZ guide, it makes it clear that these banks are not just about, managing your checking account.
Right. This isn't your local bank branch.
Not at all.
Right.
We're talking about high finance, big players, IBD, S&T. There's even something called a prop desk, which already has me intrigued.
It's enough to make your head spin, right? But in simple terms, investment banks are like financial supermarkets for corporations, governments, the big players.
Okay, a financial supermarket. I like that analogy. So let's wander down these aisles. We've got IBD, sales and trading, that's S&T for short, and then that mysterious prop desk.
Let's break it down.
Let's do it. So S&T, sales and trading. That sounds a bit like your average stockbroker, just on a much larger and more intense scale.
You could say that. It's definitely about buying and selling securities, but it's evolved into something way more complex. We're not just talking about simple stock transactions anymore. Think derivatives, swaps, high-frequency trading. It's a whole different ballgame.
Derivatives, swaps. Those always sound so intimidating. Can you give us a real-world example of what those actually do?
Imagine a farmer, right? He's worried about the price of, let's say, wheat plummeting before he can sell his harvest. A derivative could act like insurance for his crop. If the price drops, this financial tool helps offset his losses. Of course, it can get a lot more complicated depending on what's being traded.
Okay, so it's about managing risk in a way more complex way than just your average stock purchase. Got it. Now, what about this prop desk? It sounds a little bit casino-like.
It does, doesn't it? Imagine your local bank taking its own money to a roulette table in Vegas. That's essentially what proprietary trading is. These prop desks use the bank's own capital to make bets on the market, aiming for big profits.
So they're playing the market with the house's money. High risk, high reward. But also potentially high consequences, right?
You got it. It can be very lucrative, but it can also lead to huge losses, not just for the bank, but potentially for the whole financial system. That's why it's so controversial and heavily regulated.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got the high-stakes trading of the prop desk, but then there's this department that sounds deceptively normal. Research. Are they just, reading the Wall Street Journal all day? What's their role in this financial supermarket of ours?
That's a common misconception, but they are far from passive. Think of them as financial detectives. They're poring over company reports, analyzing market trends, building these complex models to try and predict the future. Will a company's stock soar? Will it crash and burn? Their insights are gold to investors.
They're the ones separating the signal from the noise. Okay, so we've wandered through our financial supermarket. We've seen the high-stakes gamblers of the prop desk, met the financial detectives in research.
Quite the crew.
There really are. But now, let's head to what feels like the heart of it all, the investment banking division. IBD for short, right?
This is where the big moves happen. IBD is all about strategy, understanding a company's financial DNA inside and out, their strengths, weaknesses, potential, and then using that knowledge to make some major moves.
And according to our investment banking AZ guide, IBD handles 4 main types of transactions. It's like the 4 pillars of this world.
Exactly. Mergers and acquisitions, capital markets, leverage finance, and restructuring. Each one plays a critical role in the business world.
All right, pillar number 1, mergers and acquisitions, M&A. This one, at least, seems pretty self-explanatory. 2 companies, they decide to become one, either by choice or maybe a slightly less friendly takeover.
Right, but it's rarely that simple. M&A is about strategic growth, maybe eliminating a competitor or getting your hands on valuable assets. Think about when a huge tech company acquires a tiny startup for billions of dollars. It's often not about what that startup is doing right now, but about the technology, the people, the potential they bring to the table.
It's like corporate Darwinism, survival of the fittest, but with, a hefty investment banking fee attached.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's M&A. Next pillar, capital markets. This is where companies go public, right? The IPOs we always hear about.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is the sheer amount of money involved. We're talking hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars changing hands as a company offers its stock to the public for the first time.
It's mind-boggling, and our source talks about this thing called a roadshow. What is that? Some kind of celebratory parade before the IPO?
It's more like a whirlwind financial tour. Imagine the company. With their investment banking team, they travel to all the major financial hubs, pitching their stock to big-time investors, trying to generate buzz, secure those initial investments. It's high stakes. The future of the company is on the line.
Wow. Okay, so we've got capital markets, companies going public, raising these insane sums of money. What about pillar number 3, leverage finance? That sounds a little more, I don't know, intense.
Think of it this way. Imagine taking out a massive mortgage to buy not a house, but an entire company. That's essentially a leveraged buyout, an LBO.
So they're using debt to buy a company. That sounds incredibly risky.
It can be. Our source mentions a famous case, RJR Nabisco, back in the late 80s. It was the biggest LBO in history at the time. $25 billion. These deals, they're not for the faint of heart. High interest rates, and if things go south, well, the fallout can be spectacular.
A $25 billion gamble. I can't even imagine. Okay, last but not least, restructuring. This sounds less like glamorous deal-making and more like, I don't know, financial triage.
You could say that. If M&A is the wedding planner of the finance world, restructuring is the ER doctor. When a company is on the brink, drowning in debt, maybe facing bankruptcy, the restructuring team swoops in to try and save the day.
So instead of planning a corporate marriage, they're preventing a corporate collapse. That sounds incredibly stressful.
It definitely has its moments. They might renegotiate debt, sell off assets, even orchestrate a merger with a healthier company. It's about finding creative solutions, often under immense time pressure, to prevent a complete meltdown.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the strategists, the fundraisers, the risk takers, and the corporate ER doctors. This IBD division sounds like it has it all. But I have to ask, what's it actually like to work in this world? Because I'm picturing a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of late nights, maybe a celebratory champagne toast after a successful IPO. I mean, it can't be all spreadsheets and all-nighters, can it? Is there, like, room for a decent night's sleep in this world?
Well, it depends on what corner of the investment banking world you're in. Our investment banking AZ actually does a really good job at highlighting those different lifestyles you might find.
Oh, okay. So paint me a picture. If IBD is like the high intensity zone, what are the other departments like?
Let's take sales and trading, S&T.
Yeah.
Remember those high frequency traders we talked about, making split-second decisions with millions of dollars on the line?
Yeah, it sounds intense.
That's S&T. Fast-paced, high stress, and, the potential for some pretty hefty paychecks. But it comes at a cost. Think long hours, constant pressure. Burnout's pretty common in that world.
Yeah, you'd have to have nerves of steel and a bottomless coffee mug to survive there. So what's the alternative? Like, is there a more zen approach to finance?
Well, our source points to private banking as being kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Imagine managing the fortunes of, like, celebrities, tech moguls, old money families.
Okay, so we're talking serious wealth here.
Oh, yeah, the ultra-wealthy.
Yeah.
And in this world, it's less about number crunching, more about relationships. Think, exclusive galas, private art viewings, maybe even joining your clients on their yacht. It's all part of the job.
Okay, so instead of all-nighters prepping for a deal, you're having, like, late-night dinners with billionaires. A different kind of pressure, I guess, but pressure nonetheless. But what about our core group here, the IBD folks? Where do they fall on this spectrum of, like, stress and social obligations?
IBD is definitely its own animal. Our source uses this great example of pitching to kind of illustrate what it's really like. So imagine you're on an IBD team, right? You're vying to handle this, like, multi-billion-dollar merger for a Fortune 500 company.
Okay, the stakes are high.
Oh, yeah. You've got multiple banks all competing for the same client, each trying to wow them with their expertise, their strategy. It's about convincing that client that your team is the best one to get the deal done. And that means countless hours of research, putting together these really compelling presentations, anticipating every single question.
So these junior bankers we hear so much about, they're the ones like burning the midnight oil, creating these presentations, crunching all the numbers.
Exactly. Our source really emphasizes their role. It's a grueling apprenticeship, no doubt, but it's also where you learn the ropes. It's about proving your worth, showing you can handle the pressure, and that you're in it to win it no matter how many all-nighters it takes.
Wow. We've gone from, like, the adrenaline rush of the trading floor to the, the lavish world of private banking to the intensity of an IBD pitch. It's incredible how diverse this world is. What surprised you most, I guess, about the reality of investment banking?
honestly. I think it's the sheer range of skills you need to succeed. You could be, a math whiz building algorithms in S&T, a smooth talking relationship builder in private banking, or, like we were just talking about, a strategic mastermind orchestrating a merger in M&A. And it's not just about, the technical stuff either. You need resilience, creativity, and this ability to just thrive in this high stakes, constantly changing environment.
It really makes you think, right? Like if you were stepping into the world of finance, what would it be? The thrill of a fast-paced trade, the strategy of a billion-dollar deal, or maybe, the art of managing wealth for the world's elite. It's been fascinating, really, to get this glimpse behind the curtain of such a, often secretive world. And you know what? After this deep dive, I'm kind of starting to think those investment bankers might just deserve a toast, maybe two, for navigating such a complex and demanding landscape.
I'll definitely raise a glass to that.
Yeah.
It's a wild world full of challenges, for sure, but also, immense rewards.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of investment banking. We hope you've gained a new understanding of this fascinating and often misunderstood industry. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the most rewarding journeys are the ones that take us a little bit outside our comfort zone.